All right, guys. So Steve Bannon was at the New York Young Republican Club the other day, and people are talking about this moment here for understandable reasons. So look at this. Steve Bannon, in a speech at the New York Young Republican Club, just said his lawyers told him that since Trump's 2 terms aren't consecutive, he can run for a 3rd term. Quote, "Are you ready for Trump 28? He asked the crowd here for his keynote speech. Are you ready for Trump 28? So understand something, guys. Normally, I wouldn't cover a segment like this, right? Because you're going to have Trump allies saying insane Trump ally shit. That's sort of par for the course, and everybody understands that. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it is I was one of the people in 2016, 2017, 2018, where when somebody would make the argument, you know, if Trump loses in 2020, I don't think he's going to leave. When somebody would make that argument, I would say, come on. It's a little hyperbolic, isn't it? You really don't think this guy will leave? Really? Really? It seemed like a stretch to me. It seemed like a stretch. Having known all the negative things about Trump and his mindset and his character flaws and his authoritarianism, I still felt like that's probably still a bridge too far, isn't it? Well, guess what? It turns out all of the people who were sounding the alarm and seemingly were the most hyperbolic, seemingly the most unhinged people who were saying he wasn't going to leave, it turns out they were right. He tried not to leave. He just did. He did the fake elector slate, wildly illegal. Some people who were involved in the fake elector slates, literally, they had to go to jail. So we know it is illegal. So we did those fake elector slates. We had January 6th. He had a whole bunch of different plots that he was working on to try to overturn the results of the election. He tried to get the DOJ to send out fake letters saying there was fraud, and he tried to seize the voting machines, considered martial law. I mean, we know all this stuff, right? We know they were working. Even after January 6th and the violence, Trump and his team were still calling other senators to say, hey, don't certify Biden. So, I mean, this is real dark stuff, right? So his harshest critics were correct. They said he's probably going to try to not leave, and he tried not to leave. Now, thankfully, he did end up having to leave, but not before he caused a 1,000 messes, right? So I learned that lesson. And that's why when Steve Bannon says something like this, it actually is noteworthy. Because, to be fair, Trump has said, like, I don't think... this was before this election. He was like, if I lose, I'm not going to run again. Yeah, he said that, right? Not that if he lost, he would just go away silently. We know he's incapable of that. But he's like, I wouldn't run again if I lost, right? In other words, in 28, I wouldn't run. So Trump has indicated, yeah, I'm kind of not. But since then, I think Trump has joked about, like, hey, you know, well, the Republicans would have to do something about that to allow me to do it, right? And now you have Sloppy Steve saying, are you ready for Trump 28? Indicating that, like, yeah, that's on the menu. It's a potential thing to happen. So, I don't know, man. Is it too early to start having this conversation that homie might not want to leave after 4 years? To be fair, Michael Tracy said, can't wait to hear from the savvy lawyers who have an alternate interpretation of, quote, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And then he literally gets into fights with people down here who are like, you left out the last word, you charlatan. Twice consecutively. Yes, Trump can win and will run in 28. He is still young and vibrant. Is this a troll account? This has got to be a troll account, right? Anyway, Tracy fires back and says this. Tracy says, what copy of the Constitution do you have? So here's the 22nd Amendment. This is what they're talking about here. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of the president more than once. I see. Okay. So if the president dies and you're the VP, but you become the president, you were there for 2 years, you could only serve one other 4-year term. Okay. But this article shall not apply to any person holding the office of president when this article was proposed by the Congress, and shall not prevent any person who may be holding the office of president or acting as president during the term within which this article becomes operative from holding the office of president or acting as president during the remainder of such term. Yeah, there's nothing about consecutively there. I guess Trump and his crackpot lawyers are trying to argue that, like, if you actually interpret the 22nd Amendment in this highfalutin way, then he can run again because he didn't serve consecutive terms. And that appears to be bullshit, right? But I don't know. Would he try? What would they have to repeal the 22nd Amendment? It'd be so insane. They don't have the numbers to do that, to be fair. They don't have the numbers to do that. But are they going to test like some crackpot theory to let him run again? I don't know. But just the fact we have to ask these questions, it's so like, it's so gross. It's so gross. So anyway, this is where their head is at. Look, they want a king. These people want a king. They want an authoritarian overlord. They wish Trump was like a monarch, you know? And it's pretty gross. It's pretty gross. So hopefully the system will do enough. The system will make it so this really gets nipped in the bud and snuffed out in the crib. But I hate that we even have to have this conversation. And I hate that these people... It's kind of amazing, right? The forces of evil will try to bend every rule imaginable to get through their nefarious agenda. But the forces of good are just like sticklers for the rules and the process and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And it's like, that's a pretty toxic brew, isn't it? That's a pretty toxic brew to have. Because then the bad people keep winning and getting what they want. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.